allow me to take my male privilege to discuss something that has been kind of bugging me every time we have these tragedies. And that is this. As I see all my friends and family on Facebook send thoughts and prayers or say thoughts and prayers aren't quite enough because we need gun laws now. Laws don't stop evil men. Do you understand me? Ha ha! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Armenian Council for Truth and Journalism. I'm first up the bat, that is Presence, aka Nick Way. We're going to convene the council here shortly to discuss the tragedy, check in with our friends and family and people who we love and know who live in the area in and around Boulder, Colorado. If you have been living under a rock for the last 3 hours, there was a tragic active shooting situation at a King Super in Boulder, Colorado this afternoon. It was solved with the assailant being wounded and taken into custody, but not before the psychopathic evil motherfucker killed 6 people. But that's my diatribe, and that's my rant toward the end. I will bow out and convene.
He really did just bow out on us too. That's son of a bitch. So how do we feel about this? It's another shooting. Things are going well, right?
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
In my generation, it's just another shooting, you know? Like, I grew up with these. This is normal. This is my life. I've had a shooting every year since the year I was born. Columbine, I was born that year. And then it's just been nonstop shootings. So I do feel awful people died. I don't feel like outraged that it's another shooting.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's only one thing to do, and that's to take guns away.
No, it's to advocate for mental health early on and talk to your children and foster senses of community. But that takes work. So I guess you could take the guns away.
Yeah.
But if you're worried about that, just hide them upstairs. Wow, I really just minimized this whole fucking tragedy.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I was looking at Lou over there. He's got, I know there's things just circling about in his head right now.
No, not really. I see it for what it is. This is just all part of the narrative to get the guns away from out of the hands. So I know it's coming. We all know it's coming. They're going to try. And this is all part of that. It's just that they keep doing these little things, and making a big deal about it. The Asian spa thing. It's a very good point. I think the main point is that this should be all about mental health. We know how important guns are. We wrote it into our amendments. That's untouchable. So that shouldn't even be the suggestion. The suggestion is something is going on in our society that's causing all of this. And I just think now is the time to address the real elephant in the room, which is mental health.
Don't you think that that's exactly the kind of steps they'd like to take at this point? Is
What
to
do you
just
mean?
No.
you make everything a mental health issue. If you make everything a mental health issue, then you have all sorts of reasons to go into people's homes.
Right.
Start regulating them. And what constitutes a mental health issue? That's the problem. You're going to start going down with that.
No, I think it's
PTSD can be considered a mental health issue. And
No, it's
what
the
do we
narrative
what did we
placed
send
around.
people off to war to do? And what do they come back with? And who are the people who know how to pull triggers, who have PTSD, which will be considered a mental health condition or something that precludes one from exercising the Second Amendment? I've seen this before.
True.
And the only way to combat that is to change the narrative centered around mental health, because we all treat them like they're crazy people who will all go out and kill people in society. You know, how many people have PTSD and they haven't shot up anything? So
Correct.
If we change the narrative as a society that we acknowledge that people with mental disorders are more likely to be assaulted and taken advantage of, then we would be able to combat this. Oh, because they're sick, we have to go into their houses. And until we as a society stop demonizing mentally ill people, it's going to be that's the direction we're headed. But as a society, it's our responsibility, and we can't just wait for the government, especially if we know what they're up to.
Well, I
We
think
know what they're
a lot of
gonna
things in
do.
this society, and demonizing people with mental health problems isn't particularly one of them. In fact, we've gotten to the point in this society where we glorify mental health problems.
No, we don't
Yeah.
understand mental health problems because no one wants to talk about
Rachel?
it. And like, you can say things like, oh, they're a psycho, or oh, they're schizophrenic, and we don't actually know what these terms mean. We dub each other narcissistic because one time they said something we don't like without the proper knowledge to like explore these things. Some people don't even believe in psychology at all. So like, we have yet to explore the human mind and like what we're capable of. And I think that's scary in and of itself. But then also, you hear mentally ill and like atypical, and like that's what America peddles is fear. Like that's our number one sailor. So like, of course, we all need someone to be afraid of.
Let me be the first to say, hey, Church of Scientology, we're not out to get you. Because you just took a swipe, a low-key swipe at the Church of Scientology. Don't stop. That'll get you banned quicker than saying that COVID's a hoax. Just letting you know.
So y'all bring up a great point, and this is a discussion that needs to be had. But at the rate that we're capable of communicating with each other, this seems like this is going to be a very difficult problem to tackle if it's so nuanced and so complex as y'all are making it.
All problems.
No, it's not nuanced and complex. It's the fact that we don't want to talk about it. Like, you don't talk about it. No one wants to like bring that shit up.
No one knows how to talk anymore. No one knows how to have a discussion
we don't know how to communicate with each other.
No, I think Facebook has broken our ability to have your friends have nuanced conversations and arguments with you. It's unheard of in the last 3 years. I thought you were gonna.
It absolutely, It absolutely has. It absolutely has. People don't have that ability anymore because they get into teams on Facebook and then they fight.
Because you can't see the other person. It's not a human being behind the screen. It's just some profile picture, and you get to say whatever the fuck you want. And that's the breakdown social media has had in our communication styles. I can't like call someone a name and I see the look on their face like, oh, I really hurt their feelings. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to connect with this person. There's we have never been more connected and disconnected at the same time.
But what do you think? What do you think they broke that? How do you think they broke that down this year by basically having us cover the report of our face? Isn't it hard to kind of? Isn't it hard to communicate with people when you can see now? Haven't we been breaking down and basically just destroying pieces and pieces of our communications infrastructure, the natural communications infrastructure for a better part of 5 years anyway? But with COVID being the creme de la creme in the
if I was trying to destroy the United States, all this stuff, it's really effective.
That's true.
Do I need to elaborate on why? I'm sorry.
I went to a dark place when Patty had said that, because then I was thinking, well, would a pedophile be able to then say the same thing of that? Oh, well, these aren't kids on the other side of the screen. I'm just talking out these things in my head.
How often do they say, I didn't know she was only 13. I thought she was 18. Like, they do that now. Like, what do you mean? That's what they do. Because no one knows what it's like to be a person anymore. Like, to be an actual human being in the world and like strive and like struggle for anything. Because like, we live a pretty great life.
Yeah, so I think breaking up the nuclear family even more will help that problem, right? I mean,
no one gives a shit about the nuclear family. Like, that is such a human construct and a hoax. You know,
fuck you! I give a shit about my nuclear family.
I want to make sure
you and have it and love it and do that shit and like circle jerk each other over your nuclear family and a dad and a mom. But in reality, there are so many different cultures that operate their families differently than the way that we do, and they turn out just fine. They actually have
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they fucking don't.
There is a village where like they all just like raise their own fucking kids.
There are family structures in other societies. It may be a matriarchy. But there are other no. The nuclear family isn't the nuclear family that you're thinking of. It does. You made a very blunt
I'm not saying family doesn't exist anywhere else. I'm saying
the nuclear family does not have to necessarily mean a nuclear family, a man and a woman and two children and a dog.
Then what the fuck does it mean?
It means a hierarchy and a structure where there is community amongst people, and people
Well, that exists
for each other, and
anywhere,
people support.
as long as people.
Correct. You can give it a negative connotation of the nuclear family, but I'm saying family is a thing, right?
It is a thing.
If we can call
I'm
it
not
nuclear,
saying
we can throw all
family
kinds of
isn't a
adjectives.
thing, but like
We
this
can throw all
term
kinds of things in front
nuclear
of it.
family, this politicalization, this nuclear family,
I just
like
heard about
that's
it
the
this year.
politicalization of family, where you can have a family is just a collection of people all operating the same resources.
Then, all right. So to make anybody who is nihilistic care about this, then we won't call it nuclear family, but we will call it communities.
Yeah, and
Communities have been broken and
there's
destroyed by the
communities-
state, and the state is
But like
basically
that's
the
what
reason
the
why you
state
don't have it now.
does. That's
That's
what
what
the
I'm
state
saying.
does. Like literally.
Oh
what
well, no,
it does.
you get
So,
no pushback from me on that.
the difference is that we want us raising our kids as opposed to the state raising our kids. So whatever you want to call the nuclear family, community, whatever it is, as long as that is maintained, that's kind of the difference between the state raising the kids, and we're just going to end up in even more shit because
Well,
only
we're gonna end up with that anyway, I think.
No,
are
I
the
disagree that people
communist-
want to raise their kids because people don't want to raise their kids.
Not
They
in
don't
this
want to talk to their
society.
kids.
Go
They
talk
want
to
to
my
send
mom.
their kids.
You're
You're
off
making a
to
lot of
some
sweeping
government
generalizations about people not
institution.
wanting to
No,
do a whole lot of things that people have
no,
done for
but think
hundreds of
about-
years.
Only thing
I'm sorry,
that's
thousands of
No,
years. I'm sorry.
no, you guys are making connotations into the context in which I mean it in. However, think about the way parents now are interacting with their kids. They want to ship them off to a government building for 8 hours a day, and that's all the fucking education and teaching and knowledge that they have in the world.
And that's
You're
shit.
taking the contemporary
and that
context
is
of
the
what we are
issue.
discussing,
That's
and you're trying to make that generalization. People do want to raise their kids just because the contemporary construct is they want to send them off so they can pursue things that are basically state mandated in the sense that, all right, well, you got to send them to that compulsory school.
They vote for that shit. They vote for it, and they want
Well,
more.
I know that you get no disagreement with
So,
me
like-
on that.
Hey,
The fact
anyone
that
that
there's
knows
been a
me-
big disappointment that the conservatives out there who have been talking about school choice for the last 10 years were the first motherfuckers to be like, yo, you got to open up these government indoctrination centers, man, so I can go back to work.
I just wanted to
Public
defund
school is the
schools.
biggest
So much
scam
ass.
of this nation.
It's the biggest daycare system that we have. We
No,
have
it's a
childcare. It's
scam.
called public
It's
schools.
an absolute scam.
It is
It's
a
an
scam.
we get to
absolute scam.
defund it
It's the
yet?
Rockefeller
Fucking
scam, the
money.
banker guy.
And if I become
get to
president, that's
defund
the
it
first thing I'm getting rid of.
But do we get
Public
to
schools?
defund it? Can
Um,
we get- is there any sort of consensus we can come to right now? What is everybody? We got to vote on defunding schools.
Yes.
yes.
Defund them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah,
less
that
than
should be-
impressed with the
that
That should
output
be
that they
sent to the
produced.
private
that.
sector. No, that should be
I am less
in
than
the
impressed with
private
the product
sector.
that they've given
But
me.
this generalization that I'm making is not towards you guys and how you interact with your kids, but it's the status in this country who vote like that because like we're outnumbered. Okay, so
I don't
even if
have
we
kids.
want to do what's best, I don't have
Exactly.
kids either. But why does my money go to somebody else's education? I don't have kids.
I think it's not
But
fair,
these-
Princess. I don't think it's fair either.
It's stupid, but because we're outnumbered, we have to adapt to this generalization of what people want going forward, and they want less to do with their kids. They want to go off to work, just send them there, and then that child becomes
but who
the
tells
school's
them that,
responsibility for 8 hours
Who
a
tells
day.
them that?
The government tells
do we
them
think
that.
do we think that maybe the state funded
Of course
by
we
not necessarily
think
funded by
that,
pushed
but
by
the nation
society
doesn't think
actually
that.
actually does push that narrative? Don't you think that? I mean, we're coming back to this. We're coming back around to the same
You're not
thing.
getting
aren't
any
we?
argument. You're not getting any argument from me. On
I
that.
mean, I get what you're saying. I think I understand what she's saying now. I
Arguing
think
and they
I
don't
understand
agree.
now.
It's
I
horrible.
think I understand what she's saying now.
We're
I
arguing
think I
the
get it.
same point.
Yeah, I think
No,
we're
I'm
arguing the
saying
same
as a
point.
nation, as a nation, we have decided, not us, not the audience, but as a nation, we have decided
real
that our
us.
children
Got
will
it.
be the government's problem. We agree.
And then we wonder why they come back to us ignorant, scared, probably mentally
Trauma.
damaged, and actually unable to cope with what is going on today.
Yes.
And we wonder why.
I don't, but yeah.
No one's
I
talking.
mean, well, yeah, of course you don't, Lou.
I think the whole shit's
I
fucked.
just have this weird theory that shitty parents make shooters.
Wow.
Of course they
I'd like to
do.
take a reminder.
That's-
People who
that's a
can't raise
given.
dogs raise dogs that bite. You think
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
raise kids raise like fuck
we want to blame it on this and that, and it's like, oh, this guy was racist. Well, I don't know, maybe he was racist. I don't know. People go out and kill people for all sorts of stupid
Maybe
reasons.
he's just fucking evil.
Most of
All
them
right,
have-
I don't know. Not to make it simple and biblical, but maybe he's just an evil motherfucker. Maybe that's just it.
Is this a bad time to point out that the military is probably the biggest mass shooters that there is still? Sheesh.
No, yeah,
That hurts,
they've
Lou.
really
That
just
hurts.
capitalized
That
mass
hurt-
murder.
that
Let's face it, we're
Like,
getting
they
better. We're
bombed
getting
whole
better there.
nations.
Yeah, you know, we have kids that play video
No,
games.
because
It's fun.
yeah, Grand Theft Auto is why we have school shootings. That's
No.
No.
I was just
Because-
pointing out that we have kids that play video games. They fly a drone around and they murder people.
It's because nobody's raising the kids. We're allowing TV and corporations to raise our kids one commercial at a time. That is why our kids are fucked. The reason we need to get into mental health is because we need to analyze what is 24 hours of media intake doing to the brain. Is what's that doing?
I think we're starting.
It's
I
all
think
the sponsors. Seriously, I don't mean to cut you off, Dad, but it's like,
Go for it.
literally, it's like, oh, school shooting brought to you by TJ Maxx. Go down.
Brought to you by King
Well, we're gonna get back over to this. Oh, it's a very, very somber time.
Yeah.
They're trying to get back to us. I started one fucking CNN reporter today, and he says, oh yeah, we're waiting for details. I haven't been able to check my Twitter feed. There are updates on Twitter available, and I was like, oh my god, why are you on TV?
When I read that everybody ran to the back of the store and that the employees walked them out single file line with people holding their hands on each other's in the front, I was like, yeah, this is a staged event. Fuck all that. It's all bullshit, man. This is all in order to get the guns out of the hands. It doesn't matter whether real people were shot or not shot. None of that shit matters. The fact is this is being used as a hammer over the psyche of American people to get the idea in that we should get rid of the guns. At the same time that our government is becoming more and more, what would you call it, fascist?
Everything going on in society now is meant to remind us that we're all very bad citizens. And we've all been very bad citizens. And if we'd only be better citizens, the government will be
We suck at citizen. We suck at the citizen thing. We suck at the democracy thing. We suck at that. If only we had
We
the
don't have a
state to teach
democracy.
This
us.
is what I think it's almost like giving humans a mulligan, especially in America, is because we've been inundated since the 80s with this whole fucking attack, the psychological attack of greed, of competition. This has all been brand new since the 80s and 90s. And I think that we should give ourselves a mulligan and just go back to those things that kind of were working back then and incorporate all the new shit that we've gotten that works. You can't judge humans, Americans, by after 20 years of watching the Kim Kardashian girls or whatever do what the fuck they've been doing. Like you just can't get a normal society that way.
You know,
It looks like I
think
have a
that's
chain
just
on
like
when you do that. Did you see that? It looks like I have the cross chain on.
covered up by the beautiful flag there.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I'll drop out here, so we won't be covered with the beautiful flag.
No, stay here.
No,
I
stay.
Yeah, there's a lot of conditioning going on right now. That's for sure.
It kind of. I don't know. I don't want to. I never really go down Lou's route completely. But at the same time, though, the truth be told, like they're going to take this and do what they are going to do. All you have to do is go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, and look. And they're calling out for kings. Laws.
You know, it's
laws don't stop evil men.
I have a comparison. I have a comparison for the gun laws. Is when they were trying to pass that law for the internet to make the internet have payable lanes where you can get faster speeds if you pay more, and everybody's like, oh, that's never gonna happen. Oh, and they just itty by little, they just finally figured out a way to get the exact same shit passed, and it took them 15, 20 years. The gun law is gonna be a little bit more drawn out, but that's what's gonna happen. They're going to make it right now. Even if you make everybody get insurance, that's pretty much illegal by our amendment. You cannot do anything to infringe on people's rights to own and bear weapons. And it's not for each other. It's because tyranny has existed for 2,000 years, documented. And we have a blip a blip in that history. And those people understood that there's gonna come a time where they're gonna come back for their shit. And they consider this their shit. And now is the time to have your weapons. Now is the time to see the importance of them, I think. And I'm a pacifist. I'll never use a gun to kill another human, period. I'd rather die.
What?
You heard it.
Lou Starsky.
I'm a pacifist. I'm okay with death.
Not okay. Not okay. But I guess I know whose house to rob if shit gets real.
You'll have to fight me.
Why is that your...
Self-defense is self-defense. I'm not just going to let you kill me, but I'm not going to have a gun to try to kill you. I'm not going to do it. I'll beat you to death with a pan. I would hate that.
But the gun
pan?
is so much
Whatever
more
I can
efficient.
fucking grab is what I'm saying. I'm just
You
forcing
would rather
would
beat
you?
someone to death with a
No,
skillet
I'm
than
all-
shoot them with a gun?
Yeah, I'm all about putting lead down range. That's
Thank
what I'm
you.
gonna do.
Well, you know, I
And
would like
it's-
to
but
point
wait,
out that if
Lou,
we
Lou, have you
outlaw
ever shot
guns,
a
people
gun?
are going to be attacking everyone
Yeah.
with hands in the
I love
grocery.
shooting guns.
Well, all you got to do is look to the city of London and see
Or
how many knife
Jasmine.
crimes have basically increased over the last 15, 20
Power.
years because of the lack of firearms. And the people who actually are going to have firearms are generally people who are going to use them. And we have to understand that sometimes we just know people like this simply exist.
Well, especially in a society where they've made everybody insane over the course of a year.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I don't get-
you don't get that? Well, I was reading
No,
an
I
article
don't get
today.
the narrative. Go ahead, baby.
A narrative about
Why
what?
we don't use that word. We don't use that.
Oh, that's right. We can't use that N word. No,
N-word.
no, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the N-word is banned.
That's why the manager's there.
The manager has spoken.
Yeah, he's got it under control. He can-
So, what's next on the call?
Next, I read an article in CNBC today where they're talking about these people. There's a great percentage of people who, even after having COVID-19, having taken the vaccine, who still have a certain amount of anxiety about going back to normal, which is another N word we should probably get rid of because we're never going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, let's clarify that. We now have two N words we don't use: narrative and normal.
Normal.
Normal is now
New
banned
normal.
as well.
We just
Yes.
love the
Yes.
Fine.
Normal is now gone. Per the manager, we will no longer say that
normal is
anymore.
left the building.
Heard
We
the
can,
manager.
we can even go double end. New normal. That phrase is also.
Yeah, that phrase is gone as well. Okay. That's
I would rather move forward, like be different. We have a chance for the first time in our history, like everything gets to be reset and we get to be different. And how great would it be if we just like took this opportunity where everything's pretty much at a standstill and we can just like go forward, leave all this shit behind that wasn't working and just like try something new for the first time. And like we've all acknowledged that the government's not good and they're not good at things. So why should the government be the only ones to have guns? And like, why should the government do anything? And like the government sucks at X, Y, and Z, but you want them to take over healthcare. And that's why like this reparation thing that California is doing with this $2,000 a month for life is gross to me.
Wait, what?
Yeah, my
I'm going to
mom-
California.
Wait, what?
I was born in California. Do I fucking count? Do I count, motherfucker? Like, I was born
Where am I
there.
moving to in California?
No. You are considered a person of
Nice.
color, Lou, so you will not get the monies.
Shit, you think they
Why
check
doesn't
that?
Luke? If Talcum X can be Black Lives Matter, I think Lou can be colored. Okay.
It's been a dream of mine. I've always wanted to call myself identify with,
I mean, you got some,
It's
but not all,
2021.
right?
Identify as anything. Identify as
Yes,
anything.
that's
Be
what it
Race
present.
is on a
2021.
spectrum, just like gender is on a spectrum, just like reality is on a
Everything's this
super-
identity
is on a
is a
superposition
spectrum.
of wave function. Gender is a wave function. Color is a wave function.
What?
It's all a wave function.
I heard the funny. I was listening to those old because I never got it. I never was watching them before. But the Louder with Crowder guy.
Yeah, you had the Crowder.
Yeah, that goes in and sets the tables up. I watched like 20 of those in a row. They're just so great. I just love watching people talk and getting wrapped up in their own misdirections of their logic, you know. And he does a really good job of keeping people on that. And some people are just so oblivious. I just think there's no way with the way that we've educated our young people up to 30 years old. Sorry, 30-year-olders. But y'all got short shafted. Y'all never were taught how to critically think. Y'all were only taught memorization. First of all, you were bumped up on your SATs to make it seem like y'all knew what the fuck y'all were doing. You didn't. You didn't get the outside time. You didn't get the association time. You didn't get I don't know what it was, but y'all are looking at this shit all wrong. And I see it. And I see the errors in our shit. But at the same time, I think the people that need to be in on this 100%, they don't have the tools. So that's why I think shows like yours, Princess, and everybody else's that is doing this. And I know you're an old soul. That's what I keep telling you. You're an old soul. That's why you get all this at such a high level. But you need to do your part because we can't communicate with people your age the way you can. I really do think there is a generational disconnect right now that's gonna fuck any chance of us achieving that new normal that you want or that new thing that you want.
Say it, Lou.
I think
say it.
Fucking Lou!
We're not. I think that's the issue of like you talk to people like they're fucking idiots, and we're not. Like people my age get a lot of stuff, and I feel like if you talk to them like human beings and not like they're 22, I think they'll get it. And if you put things in context that they'll understand and not like, oh, back in my day, and recognize that like back in your day didn't exist when I was growing up. I have no idea what it's like to be able to afford rent on your own. I don't know what it's like to be able to not have to pick between paying your student loans and your rent. Like these are issues that we face. These are real issues in this nation. And it's the older generations that cause them. And you want to blame it on us when like we're waiting for millennials to kick the boomers out still. So it's about talking to people like you want them to understand, like you think they're a human being, and then they will be able to like connect with you. I don't think it has anything to do with age. And like it's insulting really to think that like because I've been alive this long, this is my capacity.